Today we're going to talk about the rules of rounding in engineering. First of all, if no other information is given, then you are going to round to three significant figures. So if we take this number 372.1 and we want to round that to three significant figures, we will look at the third digit and then look to the right of that. We have 0.1, which is less than 5, so we will round that number down to 372. Similarly, if we have 372.8, we look to the right of the third significant digit. It is greater than 5, so we will round this number up to 373. So just like you did in elementary school, if the number to the right of where you're rounding is less than 5, you round down. If the number is greater than 5, you round up. So if we take a look at this on a number line, anything between 254.0 and 254.5, anything in this area will get rounded down to 254. Anything that is greater than 254.5 will get rounded up to 255. There is a special case when the number is exactly halfway between the two numbers, 254 and 255. So in other words, 254.5 is exactly halfway between 254 and 255. If we were to always round these numbers up that end in exactly 0.5, then we are rounding up more often than we are rounding down, and our results will end up having a bias towards larger numbers. To reduce this bias, engineers will sometimes round down and sometimes round up when the digit that following the where we are rounding to is exactly 0.5. And the way we decide whether or not to round up or down is by looking at the number preceding the 0.5 or the 5. And we want to round that to the closest even number. So, for example, in this case, 254.5 is exactly halfway between these two numbers. I'm rounding to three significant digits. Since it's exactly 0.5, I will look to the 4. It is even, so I'm going to round that to 254. If this were 255.5, again rounded to three significant digits, the number to the right of the third significant digit is exactly 5, so I'm going to round to the closest even number. I look back here, it's a 5, so I'm going to round that up to 256. So you're looking, if the number following what you are rounding to is exactly 5 or halfway between the two numbers, then you round to the closest even number. This is only true if it's exactly 5. So for example, if I had 254.50001, that is no longer exactly 5. That's a little bit to the right of this number on the number line, so that gets rounded up to 255. So again, you only use that special rule if it is exactly 5. So 254.5, and it could have a bunch of zeros, but as long as the value is exactly 5, then you round to the closest even number. If it's even, you would drop this. If it's odd, you're going to round up. So let's take a look at a few examples. This first one, I want to round to the third significant digit. So these first two zeros aren't significant, so I'm going to round to this place right here. I look to the right, it's a 6, 7, so it's greater than 5, so I'm going to round up. So that's going to be 0.0944. On the next one, I'm going to round to the third significant place, so 206, I'm going to round to the 6. I look to the right, it is less than 5. It's less than halfway between the 60,000 and 70,000. So I'm going to round to 2,060,000. Okay, in this case, you do need to put these extra zeros. They're not really extra. They're showing you the value of the number. If I were to leave those off, I would only put 206, which is not equivalent to 2,060,000. So you do need to include these zeros. Okay, so the next one, if I round to 3 significant digits, I'm going to round to the 7. I look to the right, it's exactly 5, or halfway between 907,000 and 908,000. So I'm going to go back to this digit and round to the closest even number, which is an 8. So that would be 908,000. And again, you need to put these zeros to show that the value of the number. On the next one, again, to 3 significant digits, I'm going to round to the second 4. I look to the right. It's exactly halfway between 34.4 and 34.5, so I'm going to round to the nearest even number. In this case, the 4 is already even, so I'm going to put 34.4. In this situation, I do not put any zeros because it's after the decimal place. So if you were to put the zeros, if I were to put 34.400, I am indicating that I have measured to the hundreds or the thousands place, which is not what you want to do in rounding. So in this case, you leave those off if they follow the decimal. Okay, so the next one, 34.450002. Again, rounding to the third significant digit, I look to the right. Now, I am no longer exactly halfway between 34.4 and 34.5. I'm a little bit past that. So this one, you would actually round to 34.5. And again, leave off the remaining zeros because it follows the decimal point. And then the last one, I round to 3 significant digits, so I'm going to round to the second 0 to that place, the hundreds place. And that, I look to the right, it's greater than 5, so this will be 1.01. Again, leaving off the zeros.